Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is another wonderful episode of Cooking with Tolu or Tolu Cook, and today I'm so excited because I have one of my big auntie in the house. Somebody actually requested this dish. One of my wonderful viewers, she's a wonderful woman all the way in Canada. She said she wanted this special dish, and of course for me to cook this I actually have to go find one of the experts. I don't want to give you an amateur cooking, so I went and I called and I imported my own very personal person, a humble woman. She has a heart of gold. I love her. I give her all the trouble in the world, but hey, she can't get rid of me. She loves me the way I am. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Auntie Francesca. Come on, Auntie, you're welcome to the kitchen.
Hello everyone, my name is Francesca Fadekemi. Some other people call me Fadekemi. It's okay. And you're welcome to Tolu Cooks. Tonight we're going to be making something very special, and it's called Ayamase. Ayamase stew apparently originated from Nigeria, from Ikene, from the Remo side of Nigeria, which is the Ikene, and that's where I learned it from. You're welcome.
Okay, so do you want me to introduce them to the ingredients we'll be using?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Okay, so now without wasting a whole lot of your time, it's a lot of ingredients. A typical Ayamase is made with the hot chili and onions as the main vegetables in the stew, but you can always use different kind of pepper that you're comfortable with and still get the same result. So I will show you the peppers that we're mixing in together, right? We're trying to mix in all kind of varieties of pepper because each pepper has a distinct taste and flavor that it brings to the dish that actually makes it even more unique, but we're not going to lose the localness of it. It still has to be local. So now the hot chili, right? The hot chili that we usually use these days, we're still gonna put that in because we want that taste in there. We're gonna put in some hot chili peppers. We're gonna use some Poblano peppers, it's medium hot. We're gonna use some hot banana peppers. We're gonna use some Jalapeno peppers. We're gonna use some Habanero peppers, and we're gonna use some sweet peppers. And it's all these peppers are all in the family of chili peppers. So that's the peppers we're using. And of course, for this dish, you have to use a whole lot of onions. So we're gonna use two different kind of onions. We're gonna use white onions and sweet onions inside to kind of like draw back the spiciness of the peppers. Then we're also gonna put in some cow feet, cow skin. We're gonna put in some goat meat. We're gonna put in some stockfish and some smoked fish. And this is another kind of smoked fish that we're putting in. We're also putting in Shaki, and we're putting in some boiled eggs. And of course, for us to be able to start off this dish at all, you definitely have the almighty healthy palm oil. You have to have palm oil. This soup still requires a whole lot of palm oil, right, Auntie?
Yes.
It requires a whole lot of palm oil. Now for the seasoning that we're gonna be using, this is ginger and garlic paste. We have some chicken bouillon. We have salt, and this is something we call iru. It is locust base. If you do not have this in your Ayamase, it is not an Ayamase. It has to have that local kick to it. And we have some basil and some fresh thyme from the garden. So, and this is also dry shrimp. You can decide to blend this up and powder it to put in, but like she likes to do it in a powder form, or sometimes she gives it in a whole form. I told her to leave it as a whole form.
This is
Tolu Cook. So what are the first things we need to do?
we need to wash our hands, and we start prepping the pepper, the oil will be bleached, and we take it off from there.
Okay, so what do you want me to do and what do you want to do? So we need to do division of labor.
You start off with the pepper. You can start blending the pepper, but remember, it has to be chopped. It's not going to be smooth all the way.
So we want it crushed.
Yes, we're having this crushed. In case you have a food processor, it works out better. Then, or if you have a blender, you just have a little to add a little water at the same time, not the whole water all the way. Just little water and add more pepper to it to reduce the quantity of water in the blender. It doesn't need too much water at all.
Okay, so let's get started.
Okay, to start bleaching the oil, we're gonna make sure the pot is all dry all the way. Then we'll pour the palm oil. As you can see, it's still very fresh, and it's 4 cups of palm oil we have in there. Because we're gonna use a whole lot of oil in cooking it, so it's safer, it's better to have as many bleached at the same time. If you have excess, you can always keep it in your kitchen for up to like 3 months and it's still fine. So it's better for you to keep it, to bleach it, than keep it for later. So you can cover it all the way or leave it just a little bit open, and at the beginning of it, I'm leaving the light off just to kick it off, to start it off on time. Then I'll turn it down because you don't want it to be all smoky. And also, it is a very risky part of this cooking. You cannot allow your children to be in the kitchen by themselves trying to bleach the oil, because it's very dangerous and can be disastrous. Now it's cooking now. We can leave it on medium heat.
Guys, notice all the peppers we're going to be using for this dish are whole green peppers, and they are whole chili peppers, no tomatoes and this at all. Some people, when they want to make this Ayamase, they use tomatillo or the green tomatoes to kind of help cut down the spiciness of the pepper. But today we're not using any of the tomatoes. We're just going to stick to the chili peppers only, so that way we have the local flavor and we have all the flavors in, right? Then at the same time, there's also a version of this stew when it is made. Some people will use some bell pepper, they'll use and it's usually when you put in your bell pepper, you put in your tomatoes, it's usually you like making another version of the stew. It is still a local stew, but it's kind of make it more fancy and more modernized is the word I'm looking for. Ayamase stew is one stew that I actually don't make like that. I don't like to make it too much because of the work that goes into it. If you see, we're still prepping the peppers, and at the same time the oil is still bleaching on the stove. And that's actually some of the reasons why I don't like to do it, because the pepper burns. Then number 2, the smoke that generates from the palm oil when you're trying to bleach it is a lot, and it's just always kind of like chase me away from it. But when she makes it, I love to eat it. It is delicious. But you know, because we're working together, we're communicating along the steps, it kind of make it a little bit easier and the process is going faster. Which brings me into asking you, quite a few people have asked me this and said, how important is communication in relationship? I'm using the word relationship in general terms. So can you help me throw a little bit of light on that from your experience?
Communication is something that a couple, family, friends cannot shy away from, because it is said in the Bible that can two come together except they agree. That means we have to be in agreement with one another. We have to be able to communicate no matter how bad the situation is, no matter how worse the situation is. You must always share it with one another. And in most situations, we for communication to be really effective, there have to be an understanding. That means the other party have to be able to understand where the person communicating is coming from. So if when someone is trying to tell you something, you should be able to have the listening ear to assimilate whatever the person is saying in order for it to work hand in hand. Also, when you are trying to communicate or pass any information across to the next person, you have to be sincere in all honesty.
Okay, so communication, like you said, is very important, and even between couples, communication is important.
Yes.
How important is communication between parents and their children? Because we are Africans, right? And we come from a background of where our parents talk, we listen. Our opinions doesn't really count. And it's kind of like a really, really big issue in this day and time. What can you say?
Communication between children and parents is very important. You have to know your child. Your child has to understand you. When mommy says no, it is no. But you have to know why your child is acting that way. Communication has to be a two-way kind of thing if you want to have the closeness with your child. When we were growing up, it's always the authoritative kind of relationship between the father, the brothers, the sisters, and just submit to whatever they say. But in this modern days, it's way totally different. The children want to be part of the communication, want to be part of the discussion, want to be part of what is going on in their life.
Oh, yes.
And they don't want a situation whereby their mom will be saying, this is how I want it done, and so that's how I want it done. They want to be part of it. They want to also input one or two things. So I would say communication is very important. You have to learn to take out time to understand your child, know what they like, know their interests, know what they like to play with. Try and play with them. Try to watch some movie with them. Try and go out on dates, on dinner dates, movie time. Spend time with them. Spend time, communicate with them. And also when they are being, for instance, if a lady child, like a teenager, is being molested outside, it depends on the kind of communication that you have between that child, the kind of rapport that you have between that child that will make her to come back home and tell you what they just did to her. If you don't have that kind of relationship with her, she's not going to tell you. But if you have that kind of motherly, godly relationship with your child, it goes a very long way.
That's good. Okay, good. So the only thing I can also say to that is we need to let our children understand that it is important for them to feel comfortable speaking to us. Because in this day and time, like you said, it's a modernized world. It's not, a lot has changed. The way we do things, back home, when we were growing up, we sweep with a broom, we fetch water with a pail down the street. We wash clothes with our hands. Now there's something called washing machine, there's a vacuum. The world has changed, and we have to understand that they are of this modern age, and we have to be able to change our thinking process to be able to accommodate them. And that also, I think, reflects into relationship between a man and a woman too. Being the person being a quiet one or an outspoken one, you have to know your partner, and you have to know where the limits are for you to be able to see eye to eye on a topic. You don't have to always agree, but you have to be able to give a listening ear, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so what are we gonna do after we finish cutting up all these papers and cleaning it out?
We're gonna rinse them out and blend it. But don't forget, it has to be crushed and not all the way blended.
Okay, we are almost done with prepping up the peppers. Then the oil is still bleaching, and we already boiled the eggs. The eggs are boiled already, so we're gonna finish the prepping and we're gonna start frying our meats. all the peppers cleaned out, and Francesca has volunteered to handle the blending of it. The heat in this pepper is I know some of my wonderful friends that this is what they're gonna want, but I'm thinking, how am I gonna handle this heat? But it's always so delicious when she cooks it, so I cannot resist. So now that she's gonna be blending that, we're gonna blend and we're gonna be putting it into the sieve right away for the water to drain out of it, because this pepper, for this blender we're using, we don't need to add no water. And for us to be able to fry this stew, we do not want water to be inside, right?
No.
So once we blend it, we're gonna start turning it in here to get as much water as we can out of it. And the good news about the Poblano peppers and the Jalapeno peppers is they do not have a whole lot of water content in them. So we're not gonna have to do, compared to using bell pepper in it, that has a lot of water content in it. So we're gonna get that blended going while we're gonna check on the oil to see if the oil is already bleached out, and we're gonna peel the egg at the same time and dice the onions to start up the frying of the sauce. Let's get busy. This is the onions, right? So the only thing we try to do is we try to push it down in the sieve so that we can get all the water, right, out of it. That way we don't have to spend too much time on the stove frying. And if you look at it, we have the peppers all here already. If you look at this very well, this is not finely blended. This is actually crushed up. You don't want to make it into a puree. So that's the onions going in. And if you have a cheesecloth, you can also use a cheesecloth to squeeze out your water. If you feel like you don't want to use a sieve and you want to use a cheesecloth and the cheesecloth is better, you can also go that route. Now, if you look at all this green juice that we got out of our pepper. So what are the ideas you think we can use this for? Because some people will just take this and dump it away, and I don't think that is the right way to go.
That's a waste of nutrient.
Okay.
And we can always use it to make some other kind of food, like pepper soup.
Yes.
Like
even jollof rice.
Jollof rice.
Yeah.
And
even when you're cooking your regular stew in the kitchen.
Regular stew and you don't want it to be thickened, you can always use it to lighten it. So at the end of the day, we can have it packed up in the freezer or in the fridge for later use. So
what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna put it in the fridge. Actually, somebody is requesting pepper soup.
Okay.
So I might use it for that. I'm not very sure yet, but I'm gonna put this in the fridge. But I know later during tomorrow or something, I'm gonna make some stew and stuff for the family. And some people also placed orders. Okay. They placed orders for some stew for the week. So I'm gonna actually incorporate this into it without. And once I use this, since this is a spicy broth, okay, I'm not gonna use any habanero in the recipe. So I'm gonna use this to substitute for the heat in the recipe I'm gonna be doing. So now that we have all our pepper blended up and we have these for us to save, is it time to go to the stove?
Yes, it's time to go to the stove.
Okay.
Now it's fully bleached.
Okay. So now what do you want to do? You want us to start frying the meat?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna fry the meat, and even like as we're frying the meat, the oil is still gonna process the more. So we're gonna go ahead and start frying the meat now. We actually bleached the oil over medium heat, and we left it covered because we are indoors. We don't want it to smoke so much in the house while it's gonna make people cough. So we covered it. But normally, if we have the opportunity to bleach your oil outside, that is actually the best. If there is a way for you to do that, you can put your pot over your burners outside and let it bleach. You can actually increase the heat because it will do faster. You're in an open space and the smoke coming out of it can evaporate. But inside the house, you don't want to do it over a high heat. It's gonna smoke up so high. So we did it over medium heat, and now it's bleached, and now we're frying the meat on the medium high. We're gonna let all the meat fry. We're gonna take it out. Then we're gonna start the process of frying the pepper.
Okay, we're gonna start with the oil is ready, so we're gonna start out with the onion. Ayamase stew has been cooking for roughly about 30 minutes now, and we added the fish. It's been in there for like 10 minutes. At this point, we're gonna add some boiling Maggi. It's 1 spoon, 2 spoons, 3. We're gonna have 4 spoons because we have a large pot cooking there. So 4 spoons for that, and for the salt, we're gonna have 2 spoons of salt to start off with. I'm gonna cut in some fresh basil. It's been washed into it just to spice, give it a bit of flavor and freshness. Stir it together. Oh my god,
That looks good.
smells good.
I like what I see. I'm working on the rice over here.
And we're gonna cover it for it to simmer for a bit. I will be back. We're back to a stew. Wow. Wow. Our stew is frying. This looks good. But we need to top up with just a little bit more of bouillon. We're going to have 2 more spoons of the bouillon, Maggie. And 1 more of the salt. If you notice, we had a lot of pepper. Finally, we're going to add the eggs, the boiled eggs.
So, Auntie, I got the rice ready to go.
And I've got the soup ready to go.
So let's look at what it looks like. Woo! I like this. This looks good. Guys, you see why I always wanted to come into the kitchen to do this with me? She has the patience for this. I don't. Oh, wow. Look at all that meat. This looks so good. Right now, we reduce the heat and we put it on medium. At this point, if you're looking here, this is the peppers, the banana peppers, any of the green pepper we use. If you leave it long enough, it's gonna turn red. So this is part of the peppers that we blended up. We're just gonna put this to garnish it. So we're just gonna drop this in it to just give it a little bit of color. And we're gonna let that steam into it about 2 minutes. And we're ready to eat.
You can always have it with your rice, rice, plantain, and beans, as in single beans. Yes,
and it's ready to go. So let's leave it and let it steam for like 2 minutes, and we're gonna show them. I'm gonna put it in a plate, and we're ready to eat. Auntie Francesca, thank you so much for coming to cook with me today. Guys, this is the wonderful dish we created. This is our Ayamase, which is the local stew. In this fabulous dish, we have a lot of meat working. This is actually a lot of protein in this dish, and we're gonna have it with rice. We can do the ofada rice with it, and we usually eat it with the leaves. It has this infused flavor that we cannot just knock away. Or what do you think?
you're right.
So thank you very much for tuning in. Always remember to hold on to your faith. Family is very important, and love your friends. Auntie Francesca, do you have anything to say?
Yes, thank you for following us with this cooking, and please remember to subscribe, share, and send some to your friends.
Thank you very much. Like my channel. I love you. God bless you. I will see you on the next episode of Tolu Cooks.